House, what we do is we sort these diamonds.
Okay, what if I want to buy these? I want to buy one of these diamonds.
If you want to buy one of these diamonds,
Yeah, who do I talk to?
you'd have to talk to De Beers or the site holders because we don't sell. We only have 2 customers.
But I can't be a customer. This is my first time in Botswana.
We can make arrangements for you to buy diamonds.
Yes.
But these are rough.
Yeah, I know, but what if I want to buy a rough diamond?
No. We only sell rough to 2 customers.
And then maybe you can talk.
Is that part of your contract? Y'all can only sell to those 2 customers.
That's part of the contract.
Okay.
And just to highlight, these are all natural diamonds. Yeah. So we're selling the natural diamond stone. The natural diamond is forever. So these are from the ground, no synthetic, no diamond, no lab work. These are 100% natural diamonds.
From our 4 mines in Botswana. We have 4 mines.
Fair enough, chap. Fair enough. I guess we can't buy a diamond here.
Wait, is this your first time touching a diamond?
I think maybe. Maybe. Like a real diamond.
Yeah. A rough diamond.
Shalom. Once again, all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High. Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai Ba'asham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the grace in stone and salutations to all you sincere kin. And this is your brother Bawan back again with another video through the spirits and power of Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai Ba'asham Rakakwadash. All praises and glory is due, especially in the times that we're in. And the video you just saw was from iShowSpeed's live stream, and you already know, alright, yeah, you should already be familiar with iShowSpeed, which is basically a popular Twitch streamer. And recently he's been going viral for his streams visiting different nations and different countries here in Africa, right? So I've been, keeping close tabs to the news, seeing if anything flows through the spirit, and finally something clicked, right? Because while he was in Botswana, which is the second largest diamond reserve, right, which is the nation that has the second largest diamond reserves. Okay, the first apparently is Russia. So while he was in Botswana, basically they took him to where you can get the raw diamonds, or at least to show him some of the raw diamonds, right? Which of course you should already know how big the diamond industry and the diamond trade is. So he said, okay, what do I need to do to buy some of these diamonds? And you watched the video, you heard them when they said that basically you can't buy the diamonds because the De Beers, the only way to buy diamonds is to go through the De Beers, okay, the De Beers, not even really the De Beers family, but the De Beers group, which of course was started by the De Beers family, which really, if you really want to even go into the whole diamond trade, which is both in Botswana and South Africa, it's actually controlled by the Oppenheimer family, right? But the De Beers are basically the name that is being used as the frontman for the diamond trade, which of course the Oppenheimer family are one of the elite families of Esau Edom. So this is a quick summary of the contract basically that the government of Botswana signed with the De Beers group in order to give them control over the diamond trade and the diamond industry in Botswana. De Beers and Botswana signed diamond partnerships for the next generation. On the 25th of February 2025, Anglo America announces that De Beers, and Anglo American is basically the group that is one of the front groups, because you know how Esau operates. He never directly handles the money or controls the business, right? But he has all these front organizations and his front corporations, and one of them is this De Beers and Anglo American. So Anglo American announces that the De Beers group, right, the De Beers and the government of the Republic of Botswana have signed the formal new agreement for a 10-year sales agreement, which may be extended by a further 5 years, and a 25-year extension to the mining licenses from 2029 through to 2054 for Debswana. Debswana operates the Jwaneng and Orapa diamond mines in Botswana and is a 50-50 joint venture between the De Beers and the government of Botswana. Right, so you have these African governments, right, signing these long-term resource contracts with these different corporations that are basically, extracting and processing the raw materials in Africa and then ultimately selling them out, for a higher amount. And you already know how the business goes down when it comes to these raw materials, right? Where they hire, all the where basically the people the people that are mining the raw material, which for the most part, most of the time are Jakes, which are the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians in places like West Africa, the Congo, and South Africa as well, right? But of course, Botswana is one of these nations that have a mixed multitude, right? You have Hamites among the people, but you also have Jakes mixed in among them too, right? Because the Botswana is one of the regions where one of the regions that were part of the Bantu migration, right? Which is if you know about the Bantu migration, that was roughly the 11th and 12th century, where Jake, left the west coast of Africa and started going more into the central and southern parts of Africa, which is originally or was originally the Bantu migration. Right, so let's keep going into it. So yeah, basically, just a summary of the mining contracts that the person that was speaking to iShowSpeed was referring to when he said that, oh well, you can't buy diamonds directly from him. You have to go through the De Beers, okay? So now I quickly typed in the De Beers family, right, in the Google, so I can get more information and you can get a little bit of the background and the history of this family, right? So that's why, because there is a point to all this, okay? And the title of this video will be, "And ye shall go to your enemy for want of all things." Basically part of the curses, and let's get that real quick, because you see what happened or what he said, right? Where basically when Speed said, "Oh, I want to buy some of these raw materials, some of these raw diamonds, how can I purchase them?" And he said, "Oh yeah, you have to go through the De Beers family," right? So basically Speed, which is an Israelite, right, has to go through Esau Edom, the so-called red man, in order to buy those diamonds, rather than just dealing with the people that actually own the diamonds directly, right? Because normally these diamonds are the property of the Botswana government, and they would be the one to have a say in who they get to trade it with, right? But the thing is that because of these contracts that basically these governments are forced to sign, by the way. Now, of course, you're reading that you're seeing that, oh well, the Botswana government has a 50-50 stake with the De Beers family when it comes to the diamond trade. They do not, right? But rather what they have is a 50-50 stake when it comes to the extraction of the diamonds, right? So basically what happens, and what usually is the case, is that the cheapest and the cheapest part of when it comes to processing resources and extracting resources is usually the mining portion, which is why you see that Africa represents where a lot of the raw materials come from, right? But in reality, the majority of raw materials that are being used in the world, you have more reserves in other parts of the world. Like for example, China has the most gold reserves, right? And I've already mentioned how Russia has the most diamond reserves, but here in Africa you have the cheapest gold reserves and cheapest diamond reserves. And the reason why is because unlike Russia and unlike China, you do not have the ability to process these reserves, and they are not nationalized. And that's the big issue with a lot of the resources here in Africa, is that they're not nationalized. In other words, the government itself don't own them, but rather it's these corporations like the De Beers that owns the mines, okay? And they're the ones that handle the entire process from the mining to the really it's all the mining, because once the raw materials are mined, it's being shipped out of Africa instantly, right? Because Edom does not want Africa to have any say or any deal in the production and the processing or the refining of these raw materials, which is why you see that even in Nigeria, that is such a oil-rich nation, that is one of the largest oil-producing countries in Africa and the world, right? It wasn't until last year that we had a working refinery within Nigeria, because the normal operating procedure is that if you want to if that basically you export the raw materials to the West, right, and the West refines and processes it for you and then sells it back to you, right, with added, basically they sell it back to you, and with because the materials have now been refined, they raise up the price. So basically, you're taking a loss for the trade of your own raw materials, okay? And of course, because you're dealing with puppets, right, it's very easy for these kind of things to take place. That is why, like I said once again, you don't have any nationalized mines, or you don't have any nationalized mines or any nationalized resources here in Nigeria. So let's go to the curses, right? That's you shall go to your enemy for want of all things. Let's get that. Okay, hold on, let me go a little bit. I've passed the part I wanted to get. I'll go up a little bit. Let's see. You know what? Let me just type it in. I don't know why I'm having difficulty finding it right now. So this is the book of Deuteronomy 58. So okay, this is the book of Deuteronomy 28. And I'll start. Now what's going on? So okay, I'm having difficulty finding it. Basically, it's going into the curses, right? So let's quickly get these precepts, right? Here it is. Now this is the book of Deuteronomy 28 verse 47. Because thou servest not Yahweh thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So that is that basically all things, man, right? Everything that we have in this kingdom, everything that you need in this kingdom, everything you want in this kingdom, you basically have to go to Esau, Edom to get it. It's kind of like the if you are keeping up with basically unemployment news, right? That's what they call this, or the different trends that are going on the internet, especially with Jake. You had this quarter zip trend where you had a lot of Jakes that were basically talking about I'm going to be wearing some quarter zips now, no longer wearing Nike Techs and things like that. And that trend was also part of the curses as well, right? You shall go to your enemy for want of all things. Because if you look at the company that was actually creating the quarter zips, right, or companies that made quarter zips, you know that these quarter zips, right, they are being made by Esau, Edom. Okay, let's get that. This is the easiest way to do it, right? So I can also be everything for. I don't know what is going on with my network today. It's just so slow. It's not normally like this, so I can have to be everything. But yes, I'll probably just leave it at that. Hopefully it will load up sooner or later. So yeah, you basically had the quarter zip trend where Jakes were trying to dress up and look more professional and things like that. If you know what the quarter zip looks like, you can know what I'm talking about, right? So when I saw that, my first thought was that these dumbass Negroes out here have made another Edomite rich, because that's the whole thing, right? Jake does not control the textile industry. Jake does not control the motor industry, even though you had the Patterson car company, okay, that was shut down, of course, because Esau is the devil. And basically, when it comes to everything that Jake buys and spends in this kingdom, it's always making some Edomite, some devil rich, because once again, you shall go to your enemy for want of all things. And it's the same thing even with this situation as well. Here you have Speed speaking directly to the people that live, the Botswanans that actually mine the raw diamonds, and they're like, oh well, and he's like, oh well, what do I need to do in order to buy some of them? And basically the only thing they can say is that, well, you can't buy them because they have a contract with the Bears group, right, that actually process and mine the diamonds. And basically in the contract it states that they can only deal with the De Beers. So now you have one family, right, one corporation that controls the majority of the diamond trade here in Africa, because it's not just in Botswana, but like I said, it's also in South Africa as well. So let's get into this a little bit. The De Beers originally comes from the De Beers brothers, two South African farmers whose land hosted rich diamond mines. But the family most associated with controlling the global diamond giant is the Oppenheimer family, led by Ernest, Harry, and Nicky Oppenheimer. Like I said, right, the De Beers, it really is the De Beers group, right? The De Beers group of basically diamond mining and processing, and it is being controlled by the Oppenheimer family because they bought it up earlier in the 20th or so century. Who sold their stake to Anglo American in 2011, ending their century-long reign, with Anglo American now holding 85% ownership. So that's where Anglo American now comes in. Like I said before, Anglo American is a front company for the Oppenheimer family, because this is how Esau Edom operates, where they basically, rather than them being the direct faces of who is controlling the different trades or the corporations, they use front companies, right, where it's basically being controlled by shadowy individuals. You don't know who actually has the full control of these corporations, and it's a damn shame that my data is not working right now. I would have loved to go into the Anglo American and see who are the shareholders in the Anglo American. So let's do that real quick, right? Because this is going into deeper part of understanding how Esau is pushing his agenda and his control. Really, how Esau pushes his agenda and controls the world, right, through wealth and through money, right? By controlling the money, by controlling the wealth, that's how he controls the world. You understand how 99% of the wealth is being controlled by 1% of the population once you simply look at who has shares and who has control of the different corporations that exist all over the world. So okay, man, I don't know why this network is not working right now. You actually have to bear with me. Alright, so I've managed to get the network back online, so lucky about that. So yeah, it is. So quarter zip company. So let me just quickly go to the image so I can see. And this is the quarter zip I'm talking about, right? Quarter zip shirts. Okay, so now let's go to the quarter zip companies and who controls the quarter zip. Popular quarter zip companies range from performance/golf brands like Peter Miller, Travis Mathew, Cotter and Buck, Callaway and Under Armour, to athletic giants like Adidas and Nike, and worker wear/casual brands like Carhartt, plus wholesale suppliers like Port Authority and Sport Tech. And these are, of course, Edomite corporations. Okay, so that's the reason why you see that, once again, dealing with the curses, that we are constantly having to get everything that is required in this kingdom from Esau Edom, because Esau Edom is in control of all things in this kingdom. After all, it's not written that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, and he covered the faces of the judges thereof, which is how you know that in these last days, the people that are in rulership are, of course, Esau Edom, the wicked, and there is no denying that, as much as you Wacky plantation Christians would love to, right? So let's read this. Anglo-American shareholders are primarily large institutional investors like BlackRock and the Vanguard Group, and local entities like South Africa's Public Investment Corporation, alongside strategic holders like Taral Investment Holdings. With the Oppenheimer family historically significant, though now less dominant, the structure involves major funds holding substantial portions with strong representation from South African institutions and private entities in their core operations like the Kumba iron ore. Key institutional holders: BlackRock Inc., a major global investor holding significant stakes; the Vanguard Group, another large asset management manager with substantial ownership. So you see that even in Anglo America, right, the that is controlling the diamond trade, right, in both Botswana and South Africa, BlackRock and the Vanguard are involved in the diamond trade, right? And not just involved, but they are big players in it. And the reason why BlackRock and even Vanguard are so relevant, right? When you see their names, you understand that this is something that is being run by the elites of Esau Edom, is because these are the two largest asset management firms on the planet that are involved in every sector of the planet, right? So any major corporation, you will always see the names BlackRock and Vanguard when you're looking at the shareholders or the stakeholders, which are basically the people that have the highest amount of ownership of any corporation. So now we're back to the De Beers group. So yeah, they sold their stake to Anglo American in 2011, ending their century-long reign, with Anglo American now holding 85% ownership. Origin of the name: the De Beer brothers. The company is named after Nicholas and Diedrich De Beer, farmers who owned land in South Africa where major diamond mines, the Kimberley and De Beer diamond mines, were discovered in the 1870s, right? And basically who these De Beers are, they are part of the groups of Edomites that colonized South Africa, right? Because you have to remember, these white South African owners, they are colonial settlers, which basically means they were, basically means that, Esau's normal operation, right? Rape, rob, and murder, steal the land from the local South Africans, right? Which are, of course, mainly Jakes, the Zulu, the Xhosa, go back to that Bantu migration I was speaking about, right? Of course, you do have some Hamites within South Africa, like, for example, the San people, right? The Khoisan, those are Hamites, right? But when it comes to the Zulus, when it comes to the Xhosa and some of the other groups that are within South Africa, right, those are actually Israelites. So what you have right now is that these De Beers were the Edomites that came into the land, right, and settled within the land, and they saw they stole this land from the local, the original inhabitants, which are like the South Africa, which of course go back to Jake. Once again, going back to the curses that the stranger shall come in, right, and get up over you in thine. Let's get that precept. Let's get that precept. So let's start from here first. Deuteronomy 28, verse 49. Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the ends of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor shew favour to the young. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle, and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kine, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. And that's basically what this De Beers group did in not just South Africa, but also in Botswana as well, where they seized control of these local diamond mines that were discovered there, after seizing control of the land itself, after the rape, robbery, and murder of the people in South Africa and the people in Botswana as well. So let's keep going into this a little bit more. So I want to go into the Wikipedia a little bit just to get more information about the Beers family. So yeah, the De Beers Group is a British multinational diamond company that specializes in the mining, trading, and marketing of diamonds. The company is active in open pit, underground, large-scale alluvial and coastal mining. It operates in 35 countries, with mining taking place in Botswana, Namibia, South Africa, and Canada. It also has an artisanal mining business, Gemfair, which operates in Sierra Leone. from its inception in 1888 until the start of the 21st century, the De Beers controlled 80 to 85% of rough diamond distribution and was considered a monopoly. By 2000, the company's control of the world diamond supply decreased to 63%, which is still a majority percentage of the diamond control on the earth. Okay, so that still means that this group, this family, right, still controls so much of the diamond trade and still makes so much wealth from that control of the diamond trade. But let's keep going into it. The company was founded in 1888 by a British businessman, Cecil Rhodes, who was financed by the South African diamond magnate Alfred Bates and the London-based N.M. Rothschild and Sons Bank. That's the main reason why I wanted to go into this Wikipedia article, because now you're seeing the connections, right? You're seeing, how not only are you seeing, how these families are connected to each other, but you're also seeing how the wealth of this world is controlled by just 1%, by a small group of individuals, because they are involved in every single business. Okay, it's not just the Rothschilds, because they are bankers, right? Because they are bankers, they are able to involve themselves in every business. That's why you see that in places like Babylon the Great, for example, you have banks owning homes, banks owning land, banks owning investment and shares in other companies as well. Okay, and now the bankers have evolved to asset managers, which is where the BlackRock and the Vanguard comes in. So let's continue going into it. Right, in 1926, Ernest Oppenheimer, a German immigrant to Britain and later South Africa, who had earlier founded mining company Anglo-American with American financier J.P. Morgan, was elected to the board of the De Beers. He built and consolidated the company's global monopoly over the diamond industry until he died in 1957. During this time, he was involved in several controversies, including price fixing and trust behavior, and was accused of not releasing industrial diamonds for the US war effort during World War II. Right, so this is basically just going into the history of the Beers family and all the different people that were involved in controlling the diamond trade right here in Africa. Notice how up until this moment you have not heard any, or this you have not heard any involvement of any South African or any Botswanan or any Namibian or Sierra Leonean or anybody within Africa that might go back to Jake or even Ham or any other nation. You're only hearing about Esau Edom, because Esau Edom is the one that is in control of the resources, the wealth, and all things in this kingdom, because we just quoted that in the book of Job 9 verse 24, right? The earth is given into the hand of the wicked, right? Esau Edom is in control. Esau Edom is in power right now, and all our people can do is just go to this devil, right, in order to get all things. So yeah, IShowSpeed can't directly buy raw diamonds from the Botswanans, right? Because Esau Edom is in control of the diamond trade 100%. You have this ridiculous. You also have to address these ridiculous claims that they'll say that the Botswanan government still has a minority stake in it. 15%, right? The Anglo-American company that has 85% stake in the diamond industry, right? But the Botswana government has 15% stake in its own raw materials, which of course is just there for show, basically, because it's not as though the Botswana government can use their 50% stake to leverage any change, right, with any contracts. Say they want to change the contract that they've signed with the Anglo-American or the De Beers or the Oppenheimer, whatever name they are using for now, because these names are very, very interchangeable, right? Say they want to change the contracts that they have signed. They want to adjust the contracts, right, or change anything that is in the contract. They will not be able to do that because Anglo-American has the majority stake and can basically vote them out even of any decisions or any decrees they want to make, because they have the full control, right, of the diamond business, okay, that 15% stake is worth nothing, especially when you're not a majority shareholder. You don't have veto power. And that's the truth right there, man. Basically, and this is just a reminder to Jake out here that we're still under the curses, man. And Esau Edom is still the devil, and we still have to go to this devil for everything that we need. So it's just an eye opener to remind, and it's just an eye opener. And a lot of people realize that, well, the resources that exist in this kingdom, right, even in countries that you might say are, even in countries that, especially in the countries that are controlled, that are majority Jake, right, these devils are in control of these resources. And the reason why is because of the curses, because we just read out those curses, that your enemies shall come into the land and take the fruit of thy land and the fruit of thy cattle, and if right. Let me get another one. Until that be destroyed, right? Let me get another one. The stranger that is. Let's get that one. Here it is. So this is the book of Deuteronomy 28, verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Right. And this is not just speaking about what's going on in Botswana right now, but that's just a case study, a good example of the things that are happening all over the earth to our people, all over the earth, the so-called Negroes, the so-called Latinos, and the so-called Native American Indians, right? Because you have a lot of Jakes in Babylon that like to speak about how, they built America, right? So-called African Americans, so-called Black Americans built America, Babylon the Great, which of course they are right. But guess what? The stranger, right, which of course Esau Edom, right? This devil had gotten up above our people, whether it was Gad, whether it was the Gadites and the Reubenites that were the original people that were in, the original Native American Indians that were on the land, or whether it is the southern kingdom that was brought there eventually later on in captivity. They had gotten up over them, and they became the borrower, and our people became the lender, right? Because now you want to take a loan, you go to Esau's banks to get a loan, right? You want to get a job to make money, you go to Esau's company, Esau's plantation to get work. You want to get a credit card, okay? You go to Esau's banks to get the credit card, right? Because our people are still under the curses. Jake wants to know why we can't build in this kingdom. Jake wants to know why all these Black Wall Streets and all these thriving Black communities were destroyed, because we are under the curses, and because as long as we are in this kingdom. Deuteronomy 28, verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he command thee. Right. And that's the reason why our people are still in the condition that we are in, because of the curses, because of our disobedience to the Most High Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai. So with that, once again, all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai, Ba'asham Rakakwadash, Wa Abad Babal, and through the Spirit. I hope you are Kiam and you are quite edified. Shalom.